Richard Lewald and Jay Edison. We're going to bring before you some very exciting topics that might be very profitable for you to pay attention to, and bring it into your life if this makes any kind of sense. Try it for yourself. So first of all, we have been working with the John Ellis Water, and as we have observed how powerful this could be, we have tested it by even exposing it to microwave radiation. And with that, I sent out information to John Ellis himself, and it says, you know what? The energy did not change once I microwaved it, and I kept on microwaving it over and over, just the water by itself. And I said, we possibly have something here that could be very effective towards helping to protect one from the effects of radiation. Now, we live in this world, we're bombarded with all this radiation, and it's not visible. So how do we know? Well, number one, we're all being dumped on with the effects of Fukushima, the event that took place a number of years back, and there's something like 100 tons of this radiation water that they cannot no longer have capacity to store is being just dumped in the oceans, and the effects are showing up in the fish and everywhere else. It's killing all kinds of ocean life, and it is actually killing us too. It's been alleged that the increase on thyroid issues are also contributed to the exposure of all the radiation that just falls on us from the sky as it's being carried over. So we have an abundance of effects of radiation, and most of it, perhaps all of it, all being negative. And so if our health is being taken down, we can see that cancer rates are just continue to climb, and no longer just in old people, but this is now happening in very young people. And this will be staggering even more and more as we get introduced to the 5G networks and its effects. We're not going to escape nowhere in this world, whether you decide to live in the jungles, in the mountains, wherever, because there's going to be over 20,000 satellites that are going to beam this 5G radiation on us. Okay, they say it's for the benefit, it's going to make all our computers, all our technology work faster, but it doesn't come without any negative effects. So what do? Do we all feel like we're trapped, we're targeted, and perhaps we should feel that way, because much of the evidence, the negative studies that have been done on it, or the studies finding negative effects, are being blocked, basically. Money talks. And so, of course, this is big money behind this technology. And it's about, as they introduce, it gives everyone more control over monitoring us, because everything will be due. Our fridges, our stoves, doesn't matter. Ourselves will be continuously monitored wherever we're at. This is also going to make the driverless cars and technology working better and better. So they see this as a step to maybe further prosper. I'm not exactly sure how that is all going to do, because we know your health is your wealth, and if you start to suffer negative effects from your health and it's being reduced to nothing, then you really have nothing. So what do you think, Jay? You think this is a big possibility, a big hope to offer people? And remember, in the word hope is helping other people evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from what I've read over the years about structured water,
right?
Structured water has a memory.
Exactly.
And I think even if you look up Luc Montagnier, who's the guy that actually got the Nobel Prize for discovering the HIV virus, and Luc Montagnier's latest project is taking a virus and diluting it into water many, many times, and then converting that to a WAV file, so an audio file, sending that to another country and having them play that file for the water, and then that water picks up the memory, and then they can find the virus in that water sample. So water has a memory.
Correct.
That's the word on the street. So that means that what I think you're talking about when we're talking about the radiation problems and back to the 3 Mile Island problems, structuring the water is able to erase that memory and take it back to the source. And this is how we're able to take that water and purify it, because even as we spoke about in one of the last interviews, they took water from, I think it was Philadelphia, and there was 53 different chemicals in the water, all the different pharmaceuticals and everything everybody was taking. And they're able to nullify that. Well, that would also be done through erasing the water's memory and taking it back to the source. So John Ellis has really figured it out. And as we talked about before, structuring water changes that hydrogen bonding angle. But as you know, there's a few different videos on YouTube about how to structure water, and it'll show you that you structure the water, but half an hour later that energy that and the hydrogen bonding angle drops back down to what it was at. Whereas John Ellis is been able to lock it in. So he's really done some amazing stuff, and I think that we've already discovered from helping people discover the John Ellis Water and take the John Ellis Water that it's provided some incredible benefits.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's something everybody should try. I mean, what have you got to lose, right?
Exactly. You only got something to gain out of this.
Yeah,
and it's massive
for
gain.
Sure. Yeah.
And what you were saying about the structured water, because I've taken water and microwaved it, and again, it's depleted. I will put it on my energy card and build it back up again.
Right.
But again, anytime you have any structured energized water like that, as soon as you microwave, boom. So whatever the factor is, and it seems to be, again, that this key is the bonding angle at 114 degrees seems to be the key. But it's how to obtain that and how to lock it in, and that's the process. That's his secret.
That's his secret, yeah. And he's talked about how different people around the world have tried to
reverse engineer
it and being unable to do it, because there's more to it than just shooting the water back and forth between hot and cold. There's pressurizations, and the guy's a brilliant engineer, so he's really got it figured out.
Submitting my emails to John and my observations and my comment that, John, can this potentially help with the regards of the negative effects of radiation? And he says, thank you for reminding me of this. Because back quite a few years ago, I think perhaps it's the 70s, I don't know what the date was, but you can look it up. The Long Island nuclear reactor had an incident, and they had an accident over there. And this radioactive water that's used for cooling the reactor got out, and it ended up being spilled into the aquifer system. That's the underground water system. And again, people get the water out of those aquifers. So they noticed then that the cancer rates were going up. And I guess somebody there was beginning to do the work with the Ellis Water and found how it was actually quite profound, how it was protecting and was helping them with the water and taking care of the radiation factors. And again, the secret is that water by nature, it's energized as it flows down the stream, and it creates turbulences and what you call it, spirals that go in the water that suck it down. And anyways, it brings in the oxygen. It picks up all kinds of energy from everywhere, the trees, the ground, the rocks, because everything is energy. And what John Ellis has accomplished is the hydrogen-oxygen bonding, which is pretty profound, that you don't find in typically any kind of water, okay? Because your tap water is around 104 degrees, by which the hydrogen bonds with the oxygen. Distilled water is like 100 degrees. And so we have many other waters being introduced that are called structured water, and we can see certain things where they might benefit because, again, tap water is our references because most people drink from taps. It puts the water in a position where it's being forced in pipes, in pumps, gets chemicalized, perhaps chlorine, fluoride, chloramine, all these things to take the bacteria, because as water or as anything dies, it gets inhibited by bacteria, by all these nasty things that can make us sick. And that's why the introduction of chlorine, which on its own, if you look at the material safety data sheet, is also a chemical that actually has negative effects. As a matter of fact, it even says, so look for yourself, okay? Chlorine is also carcinogenic. So, but we do have the drip effect as we start accumulating more and more of the chlorine. So, as our cells trap this, who knows what all the responses? Well, we know it's too much of a chemical, and if our body is not able to deal with it in a proper way, we're going to accumulate that, and then the negative effects are going to start to really take part in our lives, and our health decline. So if your health is your wealth, which it should be, then this is something to consider, something as simple as water. Next to oxygen, we have water. So most important, cremate the human body, you create 2 to 5 pounds of ash, everything is vaporized. So you are water. 70% plus blood is about 94% water. So there you have it as to how important water is. But like I say, not all water is the same. So we're going to, if you see the other videos we've done, in this one we've done some unique things. So taking it back for a minute to sending the information to how I've observed things to John, and John commented about the Long Island nuclear accident, how they were actually buying his machines, producing water, and adding it to the aquifers to help to decontaminate that. And apparently they were quite successful with that. So we also know from that the Sloan Kettering Institute apparently has also been using his machines, and they are a famous cancer treatment facility in the United Institute, and it's been admitted by a retired oncologist who has ordered his own personal machine, as he's no longer working at the facility, that it's been helping people with cancer. So there you have it, that this is a very profound, very different kind of water, and water by itself is something that can help you to heal, so don't forget to consume. But it's, again, about the right water. I've been involved in water all my life, water filters and distillers and Kangen water machines, and here I found it about a month and a half ago, I found this new water, so my recommendation for you. Water does what? Okay, so it hydrates, it's a lubricant, it's a coolant, and it's also a cleanser. So there's many factors that why you need water in your body. If you want to stay healthy, you want to stay youthful, you want to be beautiful, whatever, consume water. All your cells need to be properly hydrated. So it's the key. So some of the other things that kind of come to my exposure is, for example, the information came across. 1,000 gallons of the John Ellis water was used and was sprayed on a contaminated, it was actually a sewage treatment plant. It was something like 5 acres and something like 10 million gallons of sewage water that was full of E. coli. And it made the area smell, and they were getting fines. And then when they took 1,000 gallons, so you look at the ratio, 1,000 gallons treating 10 million gallons or so, maybe even more, and they managed to clear up the contamination and return it back to nice clean water again. So these are pretty profound stories, and they're very real. There are others as well, and in the past many hundreds and hundreds of wells were actually taken care of for E. coli and other factors by simply adding the John Ellis water. And nowadays many people are utilizing the water towards treating their diseases, their out-of-balance conditions, looking for help with their cancer. And certainly there's indication that there's a very good possibility that it's going to play a massive effect in health in general, and perhaps even some of these serious cases. So consider all that. So what we have done, where we've taken, and we're going to visually prove it. Again, it's whatever can be measured, can be managed. And Jay and I have been looking at, how to, simply because we love to bring before people solutions, and let's, we're born alive to live a life, so let's make it happen, right?
That's for sure.
And if we put our purposes into living a good life, and we can be a help to some other people. So for me, it's for the love of others. And I always put it out this way, my purpose is to bless, to heal, and to inspire people. And that's where I just really feel on track. So I'm going to try to make the rest of my life, this has been a good part of my life that I've been doing this, but now I'm really totally on purpose, knowing what I'm doing. I'm not chasing the money, and I'm simply believing one thing, start doing the good things, and then the money's going to follow.